Welcome everybody to the Mylio Photos Coffee Break. My name's Angela and I'm a product evangelist for Mylio. And basically what that means is I do a lot of our education and documentation, and I'm here to help you be successful. I'm also joined by my colleague, Lori Rubin, and she is another Mylio product evangelist, and she's going to be monitoring the chat today and helping out with some of the Q&A. So I hope you guys are ready for a great discussion on deduplication. And I've been playing with this a lot, and I've used this a lot in my own library. And I realize a lot of us have duplicates. We bring in different folders of information, and some of those folders maybe we replicated somewhere else, and somehow you end up with multiple copies of an image in your library. Well, Mylio's got some great tools to help you clean those up, and that's what I want to walk you through today so you know how to use it and you feel confident as you go into that process. So let me share my screen, and we will get started. All right. Get all the little Zoom windows off my screen. Perfect. So what you're seeing here is my personal library, and I do have some duplicates, believe it or not. Finding and removing duplicates is, I hate to say it, an ongoing process because you're always going to be adding new media as you make new photos. And sometimes things are going to get added more than once. It just happens. And sometimes you don't even know how. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean right now. So I'm going to go up to the Organize menu and go down to Find Duplicate Photos. So we have our dedupe back up, and you can see that I have a handful of images here. And I know exactly how I ended up with this many images of this variety. These are all images that I pulled down from Instagram. So you guys know that we can add photos from different social media platforms. And I've downloaded pictures from Flickr. I've downloaded pictures from Instagram. I've downloaded them from Facebook. And guess what? I shared a lot of those same photos to a lot of the same platforms. So the original photo is going to be this one here in Photos Instagram, this one here, Flickr Photos, and probably this other one here. Those are going to be the duplicates. I want to save the one that's here in Photos Instagram. And this is where doing something like auto check comes in really handy. So I'm going to go down to auto check, and instead of having to sort through these all individually, I can choose which images I want Mylio to look at. So what this does is it selects the images that Mylio thinks should be deleted. And I found that the defaults are usually really good to go with, but I might make a couple of other minor tweaks here. So you can add folders that duplicates might be in. And in this case, I know the duplicates are going to be in this Flickr folder. So I can add that folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click the plus button. And I'm going to go ahead and go up here to Flickr. And I'm going to select that. And now that's selected, it's asking if I want to keep or remove those. Those are ones I want to remove. So I'm going to go ahead and choose remove. And then I know this Instagram and IM folder also has duplicates. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that plus button. And I believe that was here under my iPhone photos. And this is just because I know my own system and I know where things are cluttered and kept. So I'm going to go ahead and select that as well. And again, I want to tell Mylio to remove those. And I'm prioritizing this Instagram folder. So let me go ahead and say run auto check. Mylio is going to go through all of these pictures and say, okay, I found all of these duplicates, and it's going to merge the metadata from the ones that I'm deleting into the ones that I'm keeping. And again, I can just hit delete checked. And this is going to save me a whopping 1.5 gigs. And I can go ahead and just choose delete files. And that's going to clean that up from my system. So we can go ahead and take a look here. It's deleting the duplicates and it's scanning. And once that's done, I'll see here in my notifications once that's completed. So this is the earlier one that we did. And it'll be done here in just a moment. So there we go. We deleted another 1.5 gigs of storage. Now, as you go into finding and removing your duplicates, let's go ahead and open that up one more time. I'm not sure if I have any more in there. That might not be it. But if you're looking at this long list, so let's say you have thousands of images up here. And believe me, when I started this process, so did I. You may want to whittle that down and work in smaller chunks. The best way to do that here is with filters. And what I do is I go to folder and choose filtered folder. And then I just kind of start at the top and work my way down. So I know that I only have maybe 86 files in my 2001 folder. I can select that, and then it's going to look just in that 2001 folder for duplicates. And then I can choose whether to scan my entire library for duplicates or within those results. In most cases, you're going to want entire library because even though we're focusing in on this 2001 folder, we want to see if there's anywhere else in our library that might have those same images. And that's why I check entire library. If I checked within results, it's only going to scan in this one folder for duplicates, and it's going to ignore any other duplicates that might be elsewhere in my library. So for most people, the entire library is going to be the way to go. All right. Any questions on that?
Actually, Angela, can you show where the section of priorities for duplicates was again, where you made those selections? Thanks.
Absolutely. Let's go back in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the filter. I'm going to organize, find duplicates. It's right here under auto check. And this is what helps Mylio determine which ones to keep and which ones to mark for deletions. So I can go ahead and I added these two folders for that previous search. I can delete those now. And this is the priority that's in here by default. So it's going to say, I want to prioritize yes to keeping edited photos. I want to prioritize yes to keeping photos that have XMP, which is metadata. I want to keep the ones that are rated higher. So if I have two images that are otherwise the same, and one has a 2-star and one has a 5-star, it's going to prioritize the 5-star. Same for flags. You can say yes or no. Do you want those to be flagged, labels, and so forth? So there's a lot of parameters here. And then if you decide, your most important things are going to be ratings. So maybe you don't edit pictures in Mylio. Maybe you edit somewhere else. Editing is not necessarily a huge priority. And maybe flags are high priority. So you can readjust where these are in the priority level to fit your unique workflow. I have a lot of images that have keywords. So maybe I want to bring that up. And so I can go down and see which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to get rid of. And when I click run auto check, Mylio is going to take a look at these criteria and apply that to those duplicates to figure out which ones are marked to delete and which ones are marked to keep. All right, any questions on that?
That is great. Can I ask you a quick question from Lowell?
Yeah, of course.
So Lowell's asking about deduping versus deleting. And let's see here. He wasn't in the dedupe. He just found a photo that he knew he could find to test if he wanted to delete it to get rid of it from the cameras, from the phone's camera roll. Does it work differently in dedupe versus just deleting an image in Mylio?
No. So when you delete an image from Mylio, whether it's via dedupe or just here in the camera roll, if I go over here to all photos or anywhere in Mylio, and I say I want to delete a photo. So let's say I know this one here. All right, that one's all right. I had a bunch of these. Okay, my focus was going in on the female wood duck and not the male duck. So my camera was just missing focus. So maybe I don't want to keep this image. Now, if I go over here to delete, this is going to permanently delete this from my Mylio Photos library and all of my vaults. If this image was captured with my iPhone and I wanted to delete it here in Mylio, this will not delete it from my iPhone. This will, what's in your Apple Photos library or your Android media library is separate in that Mylio can bring it in, but it cannot delete from that library. Does that make sense? The only way it can delete from a mobile phone's library is if you use the option that's called free up space on this device. And if you go up to the help menu and into the how-to guide, into the manual, and if you type in free up space into the search, we have an article here called Freeing Up Space in the Camera Roll and Media Library. And what this does is it tells Mylio to look at the pictures that are in your camera's camera roll and determine which ones are safely backed up on a vault or multiple vaults ideally. And if those images are safe and protected elsewhere, it will then go in and clean up and delete that stuff from your camera roll. So that's something you can keep in mind. But if you use, let's say, Apple Photos for those widgets on your iPad desktop, or you like to make your slideshows with Apple Photos, things like that, this will actually delete everything from your Apple Photos library that's safely backed up in Mylio. So those images will no longer be in Apple Photos. So that's just something to keep in mind. Different people use those programs differently. And if you're not wanting to use cloud space on your on iCloud, and you're not wanting to have your pictures in multiple locations, this is a great way to clean up those other locations.
Angela, it's Darren here, Angela. Could I ask
Hi,
you a
Darren.
question around, hi there, just around what you're speaking about, because it's really something I'm trying to clear up on the deletion thing. So my question is, from what I've gathered you've just said, if you've got source media on those devices, they won't be removed from the devices. If, however, I have a hard drive that's got all the source images on it, if I plug that into my host computer and I hit the delete, in the process you just showed us, does it remove it from the hard disk drive as well? Yes,
it will remove it from all of your Mylio connected devices. So let's put it this way.
Can we stop that? Can I stop that from happening?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, can I stop that from happening? Because I've noticed when I went through building catalog number 2, it did that when I was trying to tidy it up. And that was partly about my question earlier, because I've recently done it again because my vault's got quite bigger than bigger than what I hoped. So I had to remove some duplicate content, and I thought, oh, I'll just remove a subdirectory. But then I noticed my recycle bin increased by thousands of documents that were images that were in there. I don't want to lose those from the source, and I'm worried about that.
So if you want to just move things out of your Mylio library and you don't want Mylio to synchronize those between your devices, what you would do is choose a top level folder. Let's say this photos folder, which is my main archive.
Yes.
I could right click on that and say remove folder from catalog.
Oh, I wondered how to do that.
Yep, it's right there. And that doesn't delete anything from your hard drives. It just removes it outside of Mylio. So Mylio no longer watches that. If I hit delete, it's going to actually delete it and move everything in there to the trash can or recycle bin.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay,
you're very welcome.
That's really good. Okay, I really appreciate that. That's exactly what I've been sort of grappling with for the last week or two. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome. Glad I could help. All right, let's see here. What else have we got in the chat? Brent says, if I go in and directly remove files from my photos in the Mylio folder in a vault, not doing it in the Mylio program, do I cause problems with the programs? What happens in my second vault to my thumb images that Mylio may have created? All right, so Brent, yes, you can cause problems by doing that. It's not necessarily forbidden or something you shouldn't do, but there are implications. If you want to delete pictures, I really do encourage you to do that from inside of Mylio Photos, and that way it'll delete them from all of your vaults, and it'll also get rid of the associated thumbnails and previews. If you just go in and delete it from one of your vaults, let's say you go into the file system and you delete it there, what Mylio tries to do by default is it will try to rebuild it and bring it back in from one of your other vaults. And if Mylio doesn't find another vault to bring that picture in from, it'll show as a lost original. So the best way to do it is to do it from inside of Mylio, and that's going to give you the smoothest experience. Let's see here. And you definitely don't want to be messing with the files and folders in your generated images folder, the generated images bundle, or in the folder that Mylio creates on cloud services, because that can corrupt your catalog. All right.
Angela, Jonathan has a question about dupes.
All right. Is this the one? I have a dupe that says it is in the same file name and same location. It only has conflicting data. That's a really good question. If it has the same file name and it is in the exact same folder, it's surprising to me that your computer has said that it'll have two files with the same name there. Usually you end up with the file name -1 or -2 when you have the same file name in the same location. However, your computer may have handled those in such a way that something under the hood is differentiating them in your file system, so it sees it as two separate files. But not knowing how they were loaded in the first place, it's hard to say how they were able to exist side by side. What I would do if Mylio is seeing those as a duplicate, I would just pick the one that has more information. Let's say if it has metadata, things like that, keep that one and get rid of the other one. There's no need to have two of the same image. All right, if I go in and directly remove files from my photos in the Mylio folder in a vault, not doing the Mylio, oh, that was the one I already read. I thought that was a new one. Sorry about that. All right. Taking a look here. What else have I missed, Lori?
There is one more. This is from Lowell.
Okay.
Asking, do I need to do something to ensure the metadata I assign a photo in face or location tagging stays associated with the file even outside of Mylio? So this is the XMP file, correct?
Correct. So what Mylio does is it creates an XMP sidecar file for every piece of media that you bring in. And that's where all of that information about your photo is stored. That's an industry standard format that can be read by a variety of different applications, not just Mylio. So you want to keep that XMP file next to your original. And if you want to move those around, move those together. And that keeps that information with that original file. All right.
I think we got all the questions.
Awesome. Would anybody like to unmute and ask any other questions? I know we covered a lot in kind of a short span of time here about deduplication, and I know it's kind of a big and confusing topic. So I wanted to give you an overview of how I do it, and I do it in my own library, and that you could see that I trust the system. I know when you go in and you delete photos, and especially if you're trusting the computer to say, delete all of these and select these for me and delete them, that it's going to pick the right ones. So I encourage you to do them in smaller chunks, use the filter to select a folder and go in and view smaller ones. Once you've done a few and you've gone through and you've manually checked to make sure it's getting the ones that you want, you're going to be much more comfortable going through and doing future ones using more of the automation. But it is hard to trust a computer to make some of those decisions for you. So you do have the ability to double check. And down in the bottom left, let me go ahead and pull that back up one more time here. By going here to find duplicate photos, you see there's two buttons here at the bottom. I use the delete checked, and that permanently deletes it and moves those images to my system trash. If I wasn't sure, like if you just, you want to get rid of them, you want them out of your Mylio library, but you're not ready to put them in the trash can, you can use this option here called move checked. And all of the ones that you selected that are duplicates, you can move those into a separate folder outside of Mylio that you can deal with later. Just know that that's not necessarily eliminating any clutter for you. That might actually create extra clutter down the road, but it's a good option if you're not quite sure you want to trust the system to delete photos for you, because I know that's kind of a big deal. All right. Looks like somebody's asking about my cursor, cursor circle. Yep, that's a separate app that I buy just so you guys can see a little bit better what I'm doing on the screen. All
so
right.
There are two more questions above. Bull is asking about deleting.
Okay.
And then Larry's asking about keeping the metadata.
Excellent. So Lowell, since the delete doesn't get rid of the image from my phone when I delete a duplicate, will the remove duplicate come back next when the sync is done? I do not believe it will. So if you delete a duplicate that originated from your phone and then your phone synchronizes again, it should not bring it in from your camera roll again. If that happens, reach out to our support team, because I do not believe that's supposed to be the case, but I haven't personally tested that one. So that's a really good question. And then Larry, how do we keep the metadata when we edit a photo with Radiant or something else? Also a good question. So what I do when I edit, let me go ahead and just jump to my all photos here and grab a picture. So we've got this picture here, this lovely wood duck. And you take a look here at my metadata that I have. So I've added some IPTC info. I've got a custom file name. And what I want to do is I want to go up to photo and choose edit with Radiant. What that's going to do is it's going to take my actual raw file, not necessarily the XMP. And that's going to open that original raw file as it was created in Radiant Photo. So when I have prefer raw file if available, that's what it's going to do. Now, if I want to make a copy with Mylio's adjustments, including that XMP, what I can do is create a copy and a TIFF, and then take that to Radiant to edit. It's personal choice. I usually go ahead and edit the original. And then if I need to, I can just quickly add whatever metadata as far as my IPTC when I get back here into Mylio, because all you have to do is click apply IPTC card, and then I can enter my title, caption, and so forth. Personally, I don't often add much metadata until after I've gone through and culled my images. So that means finding my best ones, the ones that I really like, and then editing them. Adding that metadata that's descriptive, like keywords and such, is one of those last steps that I usually do. that's not necessarily the right way to do it. That's just what I happen to do.
Hi, Angela.
Hi.
I have a question. My name is Monique.
Monique.
So I was trying to deduplicate a bunch of stuff. I have a lot of videos, and some of them I got a message that says failed verification, delete manually if desired. You know, it showed up on the duplicates, but now it's not letting me.
So that means you're going to have to go in and manually delete that particular file. The reason that it fails is because there are several layers of protection that Mylio goes through to really make sure that a file is an exact duplicate. So when it first pops up in the screen and in the list that says, hey, these are duplicates, it's run, a fair number of checks already. But before it goes through and does an actual permanent delete, it runs several other checks just to make sure. So what happened is there's something in that file that is just slightly different from the other one that it was compared to. And Mylio says, you know what, I'm not sure this is actually an exact duplicate. And it says that, you just have to manually delete it yourself at that point.
So go into all photos, get out of the deduplication, go into all photos, find it and delete it there. Is that the best way?
You can actually click on a photo inside of the deduplication and click the delete key on your keyboard. I believe you have access to this delete icon as well, or just right click and delete file. You can do that from inside of the dedupe window.
Cool. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions?
Hi, Angela. This is Brent Wilson.
Hi.
Just to follow up on that question, I had a similar problem, but I had a couple of thousand to go through. And for me, I really don't care. Just automatically pick it. They're close enough, even if I was off a bit. Is there a way of speeding up that process?
So in the sense that the automatic failed and it was wanting you to manually do it?
Yep.
So you can select multiple images, same as you do when you're in the grid. So you can click one image, hold down the shift key and click to hold down a range. Or if you want to click, let's say every other one, because you don't want to delete one of the duplicates, you can hold down the control or command key and then click the ones that you want to delete. And then hit delete on your keyboard or right click and delete files.
Okay. Now, the format that they came up in was, as you mentioned, like it was a list of, picture 1 and 2, which were the same. And it says, sorry, we can't select. And it was a whole list of those. I don't know if I could go down on that list and select all of those and say, just take the right-hand side and delete them. Because it was like 2 columns going all the way down. And
Sure.
I don't know if I could hit the top and the bottom of the right side and just say, do it.
Most likely you have to hold
in the format that you're showing me on the screen right now.
You'd probably have to use, like I said, the control or command key to pick specific ones. And then you would just go down on the right-hand side of that list.
Yep.
And click them like so.
So I go through and do that 2,000 times.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
And
thanks.
the reason it's so tedious for that is because Mylio is very conservative in what it tells you to delete. It really does not want to delete something that's not a true duplicate. So it does err on the side of caution with certain things. I'd have to talk to our developers a little bit more to find out exactly what it's looking for in its algorithms. But I know it's definitely going to err on the side of caution before it deletes anything, because deleting is a big deal. We don't want to delete things that are actually important.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, what else have we got here? Let's see here. Any other questions that I missed?
We've got all the questions done in chat, unless somebody else
Awesome.
has a question.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining us today, and I hope that you found this informative and helpful. If you have any other questions, please make sure you go to the user guide and go into the how-to guide here. And if you scroll down to the section that is managing your photos, managing your photos, we have a whole section here, find and remove duplicates with Photo DeDupe. If you type in duplicates, find duplicates, dedupe, anything here into the search bar, you're going to come to this chapter. And this is going to walk you through everything you need to know, from the basics of how does it work to using filters, all of the different parameters here for auto check. So this actually goes into all of these options, so you can learn a bit more about them. And if you want to change the prioritization of those options, you have the control to do that, and you have all of the information you need. If you have additional questions, that's when you want to go to the community and go ahead and post those there, and I will do my best to help you. If you're having things pop up that you really think should be able to be automatically deleted and Mylio keeps throwing an error, that is something that you might want to contact our support team for. But just know that they may tell you exactly what I said, that Mylio is just erring on the side of caution. So we really don't want to accidentally delete something that's important. Hard drive space is relatively cheap, and keeping a few extra things as opposed to deleting something important, I mean, you can kind of see where we might fall on that. So anything else that's popped up?
Yeah, Brent Wilson again.
Hey.
Another question is just trying to understand the structure and behind where the photos are stored in that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have 2 vaults, but when I loaded the program on my C drive, mm-hmm. and it's sitting there, is it creating like thumbnails? I'm just wondering, where are thumbnails stored?
The thumbnails will be in your system folder, which is in the root folder for your user. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, that's a great question. We actually have an article about that in the manual as well, if you go down to the appendix. And it's just your file system in Mylio Photos. And it'll tell you exactly what files Mylio creates and where it puts them if you want to dig into that.
Great. I was looking for that. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Anything else before we sign off for the day? All right. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the session. We will see you again next week. Bye, everyone.